My phone was vibrating so hard it nearly slid off the kitchen counter. 56 missed calls. 3 voicemails, all from Tiffany, my wife of 25 years. And one text that read, "Please just answer. I made a mistake." But I was done listening. Last night, I had handed her the divorce papers. This morning, I ghosted her. And now, judging by the string of desperate calls and that panicked message, it was finally hitting her. Not just the consequences, but the full weight of what she'd thrown away. She thought I'd never find out. She thought I'd stay quiet. She thought I'd accept sharing her because you only live once. But the night she walked back into the house glowing from her little adventure, with his cologne still clinging to her hair, I knew something snapped in me. Let's rewind. Just 3 days earlier, she sat across from me at dinner, sipping red wine like she was auditioning for some bad reality show. Our oldest daughter, Madison, fresh home from college, was spewing some pseudo-empowering nonsense she'd picked up online. "Mom, you only live once. I mean, why settle for one Johnson for life? Explore a new size, live a little." They both laughed. Tiffany looked at me. Smirked. "I mean, she has a point," she said. I thought it was a joke. Just a bad one. But she wasn't joking. That night she came into the bedroom wearing lingerie I hadn't seen in years, not for me, of course, and whispered like we were partners in crime. "I was serious earlier. We should open the marriage. Could be fun." Fun? She was talking about blowing up our entire life like it was a spa day. I stared at her in disbelief. "We're not kids, Tiff. This isn't some fantasy world." But she didn't care. She kissed me on the cheek, said, "Think about it," and walked off. The next few days were pure theater. She was suddenly busy every night. Work dinners. Late yoga. Brunch with the girls. All at weird hours. Coming back glowing. Showering as soon as she walked in. Phone glued to her hand. It wasn't hard to figure it out. I just stopped being blind. I checked her location one night. She wasn't at the gym. She was parked outside Brendan's place, the 32-year-old divorcee from across the street who always smiled too long at her. I didn't rage. I didn't even confront her right away. I called a lawyer. And I waited. Waited until she strutted in at 11:42 p.m., humming some song, cheeks flushed. She dropped her purse on the floor, kicked off her heels, and froze when she saw me sitting in the dark. I slid her phone across the table. Unlocked. Her little treasure chest of filth. Messages. Pictures. A voice memo where she giggled. "He doesn't even suspect a thing." I didn't say a word. I just handed her the envelope. Divorce papers. "You don't mean this," she stammered. "Oh, I do." Then I walked upstairs and locked the door. No screaming. No drama. Just silence. This morning, I woke up to war. Dozens of missed calls. Her voice in my inbox, crying, "Please, baby. Don't do this. I was stupid. I didn't mean it. I'll stop. I swear." But she'd already lit the match. And now she was choking on the smoke. Tiffany always thought she was the smarter one in the marriage. She handled the finances. Made the social plans. Took the lead with the kids. I let her, because I loved her. Because I trusted her. That trust, it turns out, was just ammunition in her hands. She used it like a shield while she was screwing someone else behind my back. I was still sitting in the kitchen when Madison walked in. My own daughter. The one who encouraged all this. "Dad, have you seen Mom?" she asked, trying to act casual. I looked at her like I was staring through a ghost. "She's a little busy right now. Playing damage control." Madison sighed. Rolled her eyes. "You're really doing this? Over one mistake?" I stood up so fast the chair slammed back against the tile. "One mistake? You pushed your mother into this like it was a damn joke. Like our family was a broken toy you two could tear apart just for fun. Mom was unhappy. She just wanted to feel alive again." That was the moment I realized my daughter didn't see me as a man who loved his wife. To her, I was just a stale, replaceable part in Tiffany's life. The boring old husband. The guy you push aside when you want a thrill. Feeling alive doesn't mean killing someone else inside. I snapped. And she didn't just do it once, Maddie. I've seen the messages. The videos. This wasn't a mistake. It was a lifestyle. She went quiet then. I could see the guilt starting to creep in, but I didn't care anymore. I grabbed my keys and walked out. I drove for hours. Didn't even know where I was going. Just needed to get away from the house, from the lies, from that perfume that still clung to the air like poison. I ended up at the edge of the lake. Same spot where I proposed to Tiffany 27 years ago. I parked. Got out. Sat on the hood of the car and stared at the water. What the hell happened? We weren't perfect, sure. But we had history. A life built together. Birthdays, funerals, hospital runs, vacations. And she torched it all because some punk in ripped jeans told her she still had it? I pulled out my phone again. More texts from her. I didn't mean for it to go that far. It was a mistake, please. Don't let 25 years go down the drain over one stupid decision. Funny. She was real quiet when she was getting her freedom. Now she's practically begging. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered the sound of her laugh in Brandon's audio message. The way she moaned his name. The way she said, "I wish I'd done this years ago." That one hit the hardest. She wished she'd done it earlier. She regretted the life we built. That's when I knew there was no saving this. By the time I drove back home, she was waiting for me on the porch. No makeup. Tear-streaked face. Looking like the ghost of the woman I once married. "I'm sorry," she whispered as I stepped out of the car. "I was stupid. Selfish. I didn't think you'd ever leave." "You didn't think," I said cold. "That was your problem." She reached out to grab my arm, but I pulled back. "You don't get to touch me anymore. But I still love you." "No, Tiffany. You loved the security. The comfort. The idea that I'd always be your plan A while you ran off with plan B. That's not love. That's convenience." She started crying again. Full breakdown. Knees buckling. Voice shaking. "I'll fix this. I'll go to therapy. I'll block him. I'll do anything." I looked her in the eyes. "I already fixed it." And I walked past her, back into the house, not as her husband, but as the man she underestimated. I thought leaving the papers on the table would be enough. That handing Tiffany the cold, legal truth would make her wake up and realize she couldn't just treat our marriage like a weekend experiment. But I underestimated just how deep her delusion ran. The next day, I woke up to chaos. She had texted Madison, our youngest daughter Chloe, even my sister, trying to rally the troops, make herself the victim in a story where she was the one lighting the matches. By noon, my phone was blowing up with messages from people telling me to think twice, hear her out. Or my favorite, "Don't ruin your family over a little mistake." A little mistake? No. Forget that. She ruined the family the second she let another man unbutton her dress while wearing my wedding ring. Tiffany wasn't remorseful. She was cornered. Her voice that night, when she stood on the porch crying, wasn't the voice of a woman who was sorry. It was the voice of a woman who was scared she was losing control. And when she realized she had lost it, she got mean. By the third day, the apologies stopped. The begging stopped. Instead, I got a text. "You're really doing this? Throwing 25 years away over some texts and a couple nights?" I didn't respond. So she escalated. I came home to find half the photos missing from the walls. Jewelry gone. Her car was gone too. She moved into her sister's place and left the girls to decide for themselves who they wanted to stay with. That part broke me a little. Not because I wanted her back, but because I realized how easy it was for her to weaponize everything we built. Even the kids. Madison texted me later that night. "Mom said you're overreacting? That you never gave her what she needed emotionally. Maybe this was coming for a long time?" That one stung worse than anything Tiffany had said. I'd worked 2 jobs when they were little. Paid for ballet classes, softball gear, college funds. Spent nights fixing leaky pipes and burned out sockets, so they never had to worry. And now I was being told I never gave enough emotionally. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just steal your peace. It rewrites your history. Makes you question every choice, every sacrifice. Every time you bit your tongue and stayed loyal while they were out collecting new experiences. But I didn't break. Instead, I got smart. I met with the lawyer again. We put everything on paper: assets, custody plans, financial disclosures. I wasn't just ending a marriage. I was building a firewall so she couldn't burn anything else. Then I went to Brandon's place. Yeah, that Brandon. He opened the door with that stupid, smug face of his, barefoot, wearing a tank top like some high school dropout. "Can I help you?" he said, leaning on the doorframe like I was the one interrupting his peaceful day. I didn't punch him. That would have been too easy, and exactly what he wanted. Instead, I smiled. "Just wanted to say thank you." He blinked. For what?" "For reminding me who my wife really is. You saved me 10 more years of lies." "Congrats, man." Then I turned and walked off. No threats. No shouting. Just the truth. He stood there, looking confused, and a little afraid. Like he suddenly realized he hadn't won a prize, he'd inherited a problem. I didn't even need revenge. The real punishment was going to be watching Tiffany spiral without the security she always took for granted. Watching her realize the grass wasn't greener. It was dead, patchy, and full of snakes. That night, I slept better than I had in months. But the real healing hadn't even begun. The silence in the house felt heavier now. No perfume in the hallways. No fake laughter echoing from the kitchen. No late-night whispers on her phone when she thought I was asleep. Just quiet. But it wasn't peace, not yet. Because Tiffany had one more move. And like every snake backed into a corner, she decided to strike low. The next morning I got served. She had filed a counterclaim, accusing me of emotional neglect and creating a cold household environment. She even claimed I pushed her into seeking comfort elsewhere. The nerve. She was trying to play the long game. Paint me as the villain in a courtroom where the truth should have spoken for itself. But she didn't know something crucial. I kept everything. The texts. The late-night location pings. The voice messages where she admitted it all to Brandon. Even the photo she sent him, the one with my wedding ring still on her finger while she posed in his bedroom. I handed it all to my attorney in a manila folder labeled insurance. "You've got enough to sink her clean," he said, flipping through the evidence. "This isn't going to end well for her." Good. It wasn't supposed to. Still, the toll was real. Chloe stopped talking to both of us. Madison kept defending Tiffany in texts, but never dared show her face at the house again. And me? I was going through our entire life, room by room, realizing how much of it was a lie. The closet still had her old sweaters. The bathroom drawer had her half-used makeup. Our wedding album sat like a cruel joke in the living room, filled with smiles that now looked staged, rehearsed. But even through all that, I didn't break. Not publicly. Privately, yeah. I'd sit in the garage some nights, car running, music off, just thinking. Wondering if I'd missed the signs for years. Wondering how long she'd been faking that smile. Wondering how I became so easy to betray. And then came the phone call. It was from Brandon. I nearly ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. "Look, man," he started, sounding not at all like the cocky jerk who used to wave at me across the street. "This whole thing's a mess. I didn't know she was gonna blow it up like this." I didn't respond. "I thought she said it was open. That you agreed to it." "Of course. That was her trick, make me look like the blind fool who said yes to being cheated on." "She told you a lot of things," I said finally. "You ever think to check if any of it was true?" Silence. Then, "She moved in with me." I laughed. It came out louder and colder than I meant it to, but I couldn't help it. "She's your problem now. She's talking about marriage," he muttered. "Like real marriage. And kids. I don't even want kids." I nearly dropped the phone. "She's 44, Brandon. The kids' ship sailed 2 decades ago. She said you were abusive," he said, quieter now. I gritted my teeth. "She says whatever she needs to say to survive. You think you're special? I was once the love of her life, too. Ask her how that ended." Click. I hung up before he could speak again. Later that night, Tiffany texted me again. "I'm sorry it got ugly. But I still believe we had something real. Maybe one day you'll remember that too. That was the last message I ever read from her. She thought I'd eventually look back with regret. She didn't realize I was finally starting to look forward. 2 weeks passed. I hadn't heard from Tiffany since her last pathetic text, and for a while, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd finally accepted that she lost. That the show was over. I was wrong. One Tuesday morning, I stepped into my favorite diner, just looking for a quiet coffee and some silence, and there she was. Sitting across the room with Brandon, dressed like a teenager going to prom, giggling and twirling her hair like she hadn't just tried to nuke our family from orbit. She wanted me to see her. That much was obvious. She smiled wide the moment our eyes met, fake as a plastic Barbie, and leaned in to kiss him, slow and exaggerated, like a child acting in a school play. I didn't flinch. I just nodded once, as if to say, "Keep performing. The curtain's coming down soon." I walked out without ordering. That moment wasn't pain, it was clarity. She wanted attention. Validation. Chaos. She didn't care who she burned to get it, and now she was dragging Brandon into her mess full time. Poor idiot still thought he was dating a woman. He hadn't realized yet he was dating a ticking time bomb with a diamond ring and a grudge. Back home, the court hearing date was getting closer. My lawyer and I met again to finalize everything. And this time, we weren't just talking divorce, we were preparing for war. Tiffany had tried to freeze our joint accounts. Claimed I was hoarding money. Luckily, I was already 2 steps ahead. Every dollar I could legally move, I had already secured. I let her spend time with the girls. I didn't try to stop that. Let her keep playing the victim, weaving her web. Eventually, they'd see who she really was. And when they did, I didn't want to be the one who told them. I wanted her own actions to be her downfall. And then it happened. One night, Chloe showed up at my place unannounced. She was crying, furious, confused. "She tried to make me lie," she said through angry tears. "She told me to tell the court you were threatening her. That you'd always been cold. I told her to go to hell." I blinked. "She said that to you?" Chloe nodded. "I recorded it. I didn't even ask her to." That night, I sat alone in the living room with the audio playing on a loop. Tiffany, in her shrill voice, trying to coerce her own daughter into perjury. "Just say it. It's not a big deal. No one's going to check. If I lose this case, I lose everything." Her desperation wasn't just pathetic, it was dangerous. She had no boundaries left. No lines she wouldn't cross. No people she wouldn't manipulate. And Chloe, sweet, quiet Chloe, was finally seeing it all firsthand. She asked if she could stay with me for a while. I said yes before she even finished the question. The next morning, I made a new folder for my lawyer. Exhibit C, Manipulation Attempt, Daughter Testimony plus Audio. I smiled while I labeled it. Not because I was happy this was happening, but because finally, everything was falling into place. Tiffany had spent so long pretending she had control. That she was the one pulling strings. That she could cheat, lie, twist reality, and walk away clean. But her house of cards was collapsing, and she was the one buried under the rubble. And now, the world would see it too. The hearing was 2 days away. Tiffany must have sensed something was wrong because out of nowhere, she tried to play the nostalgia card. A letter showed up in my mailbox. Handwritten. Folded neatly. Like some love note from a teenage romance. The envelope had a faint trace of her perfume. That same sickly sweet scent she used to wear when we first met, back when her lies were charming, not venomous. I read the first line and laughed out loud. "I know I've made mistakes, but deep down you know we were meant to be." That was all I needed to see. I folded it back up and tossed it in the trash without finishing the rest. She still didn't get it. After everything, she still thought this was about emotions. This wasn't a breakup. It was a demolition. And the wrecking ball was swinging. The next morning, Brandon showed up at my doorstep. I didn't recognize him at first. His face was bruised, one eye blackened, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. "You got a minute?" he asked. Against my better judgment, I stepped outside. He lit a cigarette with shaky hands. "She's gone psycho, man." I said nothing. "She trashed my car. Screamed at me in front of my neighbors. She even threw a wine glass at my head because I said I was going out with friends. I nodded slowly. Sounds like she's starting to show you who she really is. She told me she was divorcing you because you cheated first. He muttered. There it was. More lies. Still rewriting the narrative, even now. She's trying to make me marry her, he said. Said it'd help her case if she's with someone stable. I laughed again, this time full volume. The kind of laugh that makes people uncomfortable. Stable? I said. She's clinging to you like a raft, Brandon. You're not the future. You're her alibi. He looked down, silent. Then he did something I didn't expect. He handed me his phone. Look at this. Photos. Texts. Voicemails. Tiffany threatening him. Manipulating. One voicemail said, If you don't show up at the hearing and say you've been with me for 6 months, I swear to God I'll make your life hell. I raised my eyebrows. You mind if I forward this to my lawyer? He hesitated, then nodded. Do whatever you need to do. Just get her out of my life. That evening, I added another folder to the growing arsenal of evidence. Exhibit D, threatening behavior toward third party. And still, she had no idea what was coming. The next day, I got a call from Madison. I didn't know, she said quietly. About everything. About what she told Chloe. Or Brandon. Or you. You believed her lies, I said flatly. She's my mom. She was my wife. Doesn't mean I'm blind. There was a long pause. I want to be at the hearing, Madison said. I need to hear it all for myself. I agreed. Because I wanted her to see exactly what her mother had become. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about truth. About finally shining a light on the person Tiffany had hidden behind charm and manipulation for years. That night, I stared at our old wedding photo again. The one with the fake smiles and forced joy. I pulled it from the frame, ripped it straight down the middle, and let half of it burn in the sink. The other half? I kept. As a reminder of who I used to be, and how far I'd come. The courthouse smelled like old paper and cheap coffee. Cold floors. Cold faces. And right there, sitting at the far end of the hallway with legs crossed and sunglasses hiding her soulless eyes, was Tiffany. She looked more like an actress arriving at a red carpet than a woman whose life was about to be torn open. Designer heels. Deep red lipstick. Confident smile. She still thought this was a performance. Still thought she had a role to play and the audience would eat it up. What she didn't realize was that this wasn't a stage, it was a battlefield. And this time, she didn't control the script. My lawyer leaned over to me before we walked in. Play it calm. Don't react. Let the evidence speak. That was easy. We took our places. Tiffany had some sleazy attorney by her side, the type who wore an expensive watch but had a mouth full of empty charm. He opened with the same story she had been feeding everyone. Mr. Coleman emotionally abandoned his wife. He showed no affection. She was driven to look elsewhere. This wasn't betrayal, it was survival. The judge nodded. Took notes. Then it was my turn. And that's when the match got lit. My attorney stood tall, opened a thick folder, and calmly began reading out messages. Dates. Times. Then played audio clips. The courtroom was silent, every word echoing like a gunshot. First was the voicemail of Tiffany begging Brandon to lie under oath. Then came the recording Chloe had made, Tiffany pressuring her own daughter to commit perjury. By the time we pulled up the photos of Tiffany in Brandon's bedroom, laughing while wearing my hoodie, the room was tense. Even her lawyer started shifting in his chair. Tiffany? She didn't smile anymore. Her face was pale, jaw clenched, trying desperately to maintain composure while her perfect image shattered in real time. Then Chloe was called up. She sat bravely in front of the judge, holding back tears as she told them everything, how Tiffany manipulated her, used her like a chess piece. Madison sat behind me. And for the first time in months, she reached over and gently touched my shoulder. Silent. But it meant everything. When it was all over, the judge looked up and spoke clearly. I find no credibility in Mrs. Coleman's testimony. The evidence overwhelmingly shows a pattern of dishonesty, coercion, and emotional manipulation. Custody of the younger daughter will remain with Mr. Coleman. As for financial distribution, Mrs. Coleman will receive the minimum state-mandated share. No alimony. Tiffany gasped. No theatrics could save her now. It was over. Outside the courthouse, she tried to catch me alone. You really did this to me? She hissed. I stared at her. Cold. Unmoved. No, Tiffany. You did this to yourself. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stood there shaking, her world finally crumbling in her manicured hands. Brandon didn't show up that day. I heard he blocked her number. Moved out. Probably somewhere far away where he wouldn't wake up to a wine glass flying past his head. I walked away from her without looking back. And it was the first time in years I felt completely free. That night, Chloe and I had dinner together. Simple. Just takeout pizza and 2 glasses of soda. But it was peace. No lies. No tension. No masks. Just silence that felt warm for once. Madison texted me before bed. I was wrong. I see it now. I'm sorry, Dad. I stared at the message for a while. Then replied, Thank you. That means more than you know. The war was over. But the rebuilding, my rebuilding, was just beginning. A month passed. No screaming. No late-night betrayal. No scent of someone else's cologne haunting my home. The place finally felt like mine again, not ours, not hers, mine. I started sleeping with the windows open. Started cooking again. Repaired the broken fence out back myself. Little things. Mundane things. But they meant something now. Each one was a quiet reminder. I was reclaiming my life. Tiffany tried to contact me again, of course. First through Madison. Then by email. Then a typed letter in the mail with no return address, just a few rambling lines about regret, about what could have been, about how we let others poison our bond. No. She poisoned it. With her lies. Her betrayal. Her lack of shame. I didn't respond. I never would. Brandon disappeared from the neighborhood. Rumor has it he skipped town. I didn't care where he went. He was just a pawn in her twisted game, and the poor fool finally realized he was playing checkers on a chessboard run by a lunatic. As for Chloe, she stayed with me full time now. She'd become quieter, more thoughtful, but I could tell she was healing. We talked. Not just about her mom, but about life. About real things. About who we are when the people closest to us betray us, and who we choose to become afterward. One evening, we sat on the porch watching the sun dip behind the trees. Do you miss her? She asked me softly. I took a deep breath. Thought about it. Sometimes I miss who I thought she was. But no. I don't miss her. I miss the illusion. Chloe nodded, like she understood more than she let on. Madison eventually came around. Slowly. She apologized in person this time, tears in her eyes, the weight of everything finally sinking in. I told her I forgave her. Because I did. Because I knew she'd been manipulated too, just in a different way. What hurt more than Tiffany cheating was how calculated it all had been. It wasn't just a moment of weakness. It was a season of choice. A woman who used her daughter's words as a green light to destroy a life we'd spent decades building. A woman who thought, YOLO, was a valid reason to annihilate a marriage. But I survived it. No, I leveled up from it. I wasn't the same man who sat quietly while his wife flirted with the neighbor. I wasn't the man who swallowed his pain just to keep the family together. I was the man who stood his ground, drew the line, and fought back. And let me tell you something, nothing's more dangerous than a loyal man who's been betrayed. In the end, Tiffany lost everything she thought she had under control. She lost the marriage, her reputation, her grip on the kids, and the fake fairy tale life she tried to force-feed everyone. She wanted an open marriage. She ended up with an open ending. I found peace. Real peace. Not the kind where you fake a smile while wondering if your partner is texting someone else under the table. I wake up now without knots in my stomach. Without second-guessing my worth. Without playing detective in my own home. To every man out there who's ever been betrayed by someone who wore loyalty like a costume, you don't have to stay silent. You don't have to play nice. You don't have to save someone who's setting your world on fire just because you loved them once. Let them burn their own bridge. Then walk away from the smoke. I did. And I didn't just survive. I won.